So welcome everyone. Sorry I'm in masked attire. I'm in the airport and wanted still to be the host for this webinar, which I'm quite excited about. My name is Sharon Terry and I'm the President and CEO of Genetic Alliance. And our webinar today is for you to get to know EspeRare, which is an organization that I've been involved with since its founding. And again, sorry about the background noise. I'm delighted today to introduce Carolyn Kunt, who I met many years ago, more than a decade ago, when as an Ashoka Fellow, myself, Ashoka paired me up with her to think about how we might change the world of drug development. Carolyn herself is now an Ashoka Fellow as well, which is a social entrepreneurial fellowship. And she is going to describe to you the endeavor that she's undertaken all these years and opportunities for advocacy organizations and industry actually to partner with EspeRare. So without further ado, Carolyn.
Thank you very much, Sharon, for the intro. Hi, everyone from snowy and dark Switzerland. Right now, it's almost nighttime. So to just add a few words about myself. So I'm a neurobiologist by training and a mother of a 21-year-old Eva with a rare form of epilepsy. As Sharon mentioned, before founding EspeRare, I worked for many years, more than 10 years, within the big pharma industry in various roles in R&D drug development. Today, I propose to start presenting EspeRare, who we are, what we do, and where we are today, and then to present the call for proposal we're launching and its associated survey, and leave plenty of room for questions and comments. So I'm just going to launch a presentation. Just one second. Okay. Can everyone see the slide? Yes? Okay.
Yes.
So if we were to summarize what EspeRare is about, it's about bringing to life treatment for orphan diseases and striving, which is a challenging thing to do, but striving to leave no one behind in the process. In terms of its history, EspeRare has been established in Geneva, Switzerland, almost 10 years ago as a non-for-profit drug development engine by 3 pharmaceutical executives, including myself, and as Sharon mentioned, as Sharon Terry as founding president. And we, the 4 of us, we have a common motivation of dedicating our pharma and also drug development expertise to patients, and in particular to children affected by rare diseases. And we're focusing on accelerating and giving a chance to developing treatments for this underserved and vulnerable patient population. With our non-for-profit biotech model that I will explain in more details in the following slides, we strive on one hand to partner with advocacy group at each step of the way, and to provide drug development expertise to give a chance to these opportunities, and then to be able to find a commercial drug development partner that will co-develop or develop the treatment until market and distribute the drug in an accessible way. Okay, why is it? Okay. Underlining this mission of fast-forwarding treatment for orphan diseases, we have key guiding principles, and we are aiming on one hand at driving innovative R&D for this underserved patient population that is not necessarily a focus of the traditional commercial drug development area, because as we all know, because those diseases represent a small financial market, it is difficult for these type of commercially driven drug developers to invest resources and funding, especially in the initial phase of drug development for these opportunities. So we are focused on driving innovation for R&D for this underserved population, cooperating, as I said, at each step of the way with disease advocacy community, and striving together to drive development of impactful treatment. Also, and very importantly, fostering data sharing that enable us to progress healthcare in those diseases in an ethical way. And last but not least, and I will exemplify how we are aiming to do that, we are also striving to drive equitable access to medicines for this treatment, because we consider that it is unethical to drive innovation efforts, enroll patients in studies, and not from the beginning trying to integrate commitments and trying to find ways to maximize access to patients that could benefit from these innovative treatments. In terms of our value proposition as a non-for-profit drug development engine, we combine the biotech agility and know-how, meaning that we bring this drug development expertise at various stages of the drug development process, from preclinical drug development to late clinical development, with a particular expertise in the challenges of rare disease drug development. And we combine that with social enterprise goals and levers in terms of working hand in hand with the patient community, in terms also of accessing public and philanthropic funding to give a chance and developing these therapeutic opportunities, and also leveraging pro bono support and alignment with key stakeholders in the drug development process in terms of our value and our goal in terms of the impact, the therapeutic impact we strive to provide I would not say independently, but first and foremost, rather than the financial potential. In terms of where we operate and where we bring our expertise, we focus on what we call giving a chance and developing these therapeutic opportunities through the R&D translational Death Valley that is bridging between the academic research efforts and the commercial drug development. And this is where we mobilize, as I said, philanthropic and public funding, and we combine that with our pharmaceutical drug development expertise, and where we collaborate and engage with key stakeholders, first and foremost, advocacy organization and biomedical experts, to de-risk and develop these treatments as far usually until proof of concept, clinical proof of concept, so that they become attractive to commercial drug developers that take on or co-develop with us these treatments and then focus on distributing these treatments. In line with our mission and our model, when we hand over these therapeutic opportunities to commercial partners, the financial return we generate are fully reinvested in our mission and also into our patient community and our partners, because we estimate that in terms of how to reinvest the money specifically for the disease and the community, the best place are the advocacy groups to know where to invest this money. So an example, a concrete example, is a drug that we're actually developing in Duchenne muscular dystrophy. So in alignment with our philosophy, we have the IFM Téléthon in France that has co-developed and co-funded this therapy and provided also infrastructure to run the translational drug development. And in exchange for this financial and capability support, what we have committed is to give back the grant that they have provided to the program with an upside so that they can reinvest this money for the community once the treatment reach the market. In terms of how we accelerate and fast forward development of treatments for orphan diseases, we mostly focus on repositioning already existing treatments that most often have been deprioritized by the pharma industry for strategic reason, but where we can leverage already clinical data, safety clinical data, and also data package in terms of manufacturing and preclinical data, so that on one hand, we can de-risk the clinical development, but also fast forward because we can reuse the data package we inherit from the initial asset owner. So this is something that we know how to do, is to approach usually pharma companies that have therapeutic assets that would be attractive to be redeveloped in a rare disease. We negotiate a license to these assets so that we have the freedom to operate with our partners to develop the treatment in a rare diseases. In terms of the team core expertise to run these R&D activities. So today we are a core team of 10 employees with mainly drug development expertise. And we supplement this core team with a pool of around 25 consultants that cover the full drug development skill set, spanning from managing the manufacturing plans and strategies with manufacturing partners, from also a track record of privileged relationship and interface with health authorities, especially FDA and EMEA in Europe, as well as developing the clinical design and development plans to progress these opportunities and to generate the data package that will hopefully be sufficient to convince a commercial partner to invest in the very expensive late phase of drug development. To exemplify concretely what we do, I chose to tell you about one of the programs we have now in our portfolio. It's let's say it's a classic, in my opinion, orphan disease story. So this is a protein replacement treatment that was originally developed in academia here in Switzerland for X-linked ectodermal dysplasia. This is a condition where boys that are born with this genetic defect lack the development of glands, and in particular sweat glands, but also lack missing teeth and glands in their lungs. Because of this lack of gland development, they cannot thermoregulate. They can overheat, they can have seizures. There is an increased mortality in the first months of life because of lung infections. So it's a quite debilitating disease that spans all throughout life. And a typical orphan drug development story. So initially developed out of academia, there was not enough VC investment here in Switzerland to develop locally this treatment. So a consortium of VCs out of Boston created a biotech company dedicated to developing this treatment called EspeRare at the time. And this biotech company went on in developing the treatment first in a phase 1 to generate safety and tolerability data in adults affected by X-linked ectodermal dysplasia. And then went on to run a phase 2 into neonates, hoping that exposing these newborns to the protein will revert and enable these glands, this ectoderm, to develop normally. Unfortunately, the trial provided not to be efficacious when the treatment was given at birth. But a typical orphan drug development story. One of the investigators based in Germany, called Professor Holm-Schneider, was faced with a mother with an affected boy at home that was expecting 2 twin boys. And she asked this investigator to try to treat before birth by injecting the treatment during the 3rd trimester of pregnancy. He did it for the 2 twins and another case, another fetus. And on this slide, these are the data that were published in the New England Journal of Medicine that shows that the twins that have been treated with 2 doses in the 3rd trimester of pregnancy, during the 3rd trimester of pregnancy with the treatment, could sweat normally, had more teeth, and had the most debilitating symptom of the disease reverted, corrected, let's say it like this. So the initial investors, faced with this very promising efficacy data while treating before birth, in the meantime, they already had winded down the biotech company. They initially tried to hand over this program to usual rare disease commercial drug developers, but they were unable to find a partner. One of the reasons that we can imagine is that there was at the time, and there is still no precedent of putting on the market a treatment that is administered before birth. So, well, last resort, they approached EspeRare in 2018 and proposed to transfer this program to us if we were able to give a chance to redevelop this treatment with an in utero administration. We knew that the patient community, the XLHCD patient community, knew about the 3 anecdotal cases that had been treated in utero, and that the effect was quite promising. So we wanted to be very careful at managing expectation of the community. So we didn't accept right away to onboard this program. We first wanted to make sure that if EspeRare were to onboard this project, first we had a way forward in terms of the regulatory path to ambition to bring this treatment to the patient and to the market, and also that we were able to mobilize the funding to restart this development in a prenatal administration. And so that's what we did. We mobilized philanthropic funding to recreate an expert team, and also partnering with experts around the world that had the various expertise we needed to design a clinical development plan in a prenatal administration. And then we went to discuss with the regulators in Europe and in the US. And in 2020, we got the endorsement from the FDA and from the EMA that with a single pivotal trial that we had designed in reproducing basically the efficacy that we could see on the twins, we would in principle get the treatment approval. We also were invited in the accelerated schemes for orphan drug development, the breakthrough therapy in the US and the PRIME in the EU. And with those reassurance, regulatory reassurance, and also with the right expert team around the program. And there I have to say, it's really also thanks to the patient community and the NFED, especially in the US, that we were able to onboard the biomedical experts in order to put all the key stakeholders around this project, that we were able to get to this point and de-risk the program enough that in end of 2020, we were able to secure a commercial co-developer partner, Pierre Fabre Médicaments, that is now co-developing this program in a pivotal study. Now today we have already enrolled 2 first patients in this trial. In the meantime, we also have treated 6 patients total in a compassionate use during COVID time. And if all goes well, we can ambition that by 2025, 2026, we will bring the first treatment that corrects a genetic disease before birth to the market, and a solution for XLHCD community. So that's an example of the EspeRare. If the EspeRare model would not have been there, potentially this treatment would have never had a chance to be redeveloped, and also to find and to attract the necessary expertise and also funding to hopefully bring the treatment to the patients. In 10 years' time, so we have given a chance to 7 therapeutic opportunities in various rare diseases. And after 10 years, we now have a matured portfolio with a program in X-linked ectodermal dysplasia that I just presented to you that is now partnered and on track to hopefully reach the market. Another project in Duchenne muscular dystrophy that is in the process of being partnered with a commercial partner, and a medical device that is an active implant for protecting the hearts of newborns with congenital heart defects that is actually being spun out in a dedicated medtech. So with this, let's say, mature portfolio, and also with a lot of learnings about the expertise and what we can bring to drug development in rare diseases from these 10 years, we are now seeking to find a new partnership with a patient rare disease advocacy community and onboard a new program. And this is why we are launching today a call for proposal. And the objective of this call for proposal is to look for a partner, to partner with an advocacy group to give a chance and co-develop a therapeutic opportunity that would address a rare disease with a high unmet medical need. For this initial phase of the partnership, we are seeking to award a combination of 35,000 worth of drug development expertise to assess the feasibility of progressing and developing this therapeutic opportunity, and 15,000 to the patient group so that they can fund whatever priority topic they will need to fund to advance the need of the community, being it organizing a family conference, setting up a registry, running a natural history study. As we know, there is a lot to be done in terms of developing the rare disease infrastructure. So these 15,000 would really go to the advocacy group to choose to invest as best as the group would judge for this purpose. In terms of the process, so we are launching the call for proposal today with a deadline to answer to its associated survey by February 1st. By March, end of March, we will notify the applicants of the proposal and select 3 to 5 finalists that we will interact with to understand and to try to select the proposal where EspeRare would have the most added value to bring to these opportunities. And we're aiming by June to select the winning project. In terms of the application survey, So it's a survey of 12 questions that are a blend of multiple choice and very short questions. So it should take maximum 10 minutes to complete. And here really the objective is, to get to know you, so some of the basic information, to understand the disease, the challenges in the disease, and in terms of the community, and hear about the therapeutic opportunity where you think you would need EspeRare support. And then also understand in terms of the ecosystem around the disease, what type of partnership or synergies you would look to develop or to enhance to enable to better and consolidate what I call the disease infrastructure around the disease to allow for drug development. So I'm just going to click on the link. I hope it's going to work. So this is how the survey looks like. It's a Google form survey, very straightforward, with a couple of, yes.
Yeah, and the link is in the chat for others who might want to also click on it.
Exactly. So very straightforward. So as I said, just information about the organization you represent, considering the disease, also that, so we understand from your standpoint what are the true unmet medical needs that needs to be tackled to best impact the quality of life of patients. Information about is there natural history data and registry. Then a section about the therapeutic approach that you would seek support for. And then finally, understanding more about the needs in terms of supporting the community and the ecosystem around the patients. So that's about it. Yes, here to take questions and comments.
Great. Thanks very much, Carolyn. And I can vouch for working with Carolyn and her team that it is a delight that as much as we at Genetic Alliance have been pursuing doing things differently all these years, Carolyn has as well. And so we're very happy to be working with her and finding new ways to do these things. The floor is open. You can unmute and ask a question, or you can put it in the chat and I will read it. Either way is good. No questions at all.
Can you elaborate just a little bit on the drug development expertise? How far does $35,000 go?
Oh, no, here, that's a very good question. It's just to assess if there's a way forward to give a chance to developing this treatment in terms of the clinical strategy, in terms of is there grounds to be able also to have, let's say, business way forward for the treatment. Because at the end of the day, you need to invest tens of millions to bring a treatment to the market. So it's really more the feasibility analysis of, is there an asset where we can get a license so that we can then mobilize further funding to enable all these clinical activities. So yeah, so the 30K is really the feasibility analysis of, is there a way forward? And then working hand in hand with the advocacy group, hopefully, to aligning all the stars and the funding and the experts, as I exemplify for the XLHED program, so that we can progress this program and ultimately find a commercial partner for the program.
Thank you.
And Carolyn, a question in the chat: is the opportunity open to any patient organization in any country or limited to specific geographies?
No limitation of geographies. One caveat is EspeRare, its mission is about orphan drug development. So it has to qualify as a orphan diseases.
How far along in drug development does the group need to be? This is from Caitlin at Bobby Jones Chiari. Our main pharmaceutical treatment is for a real cross-disease problem, chronic neuropathic pain.
So the answer is there's no criteria of how far it has to be. As I mentioned, we really operate in this translational phase where we are also able to provide expertise for preclinical development. But what really is critical is when you design also these early phase of development strategies, you already think about the type of data you develop in these preclinical efforts that will be used to design and to progress the program in later phase of drug development. So if it's a cross-disease, EspeRare would look at the opportunity and potentially discussing and trying to identify with the advocacy group initial quite homogeneous patient population that we would design a development strategy around.
And are you able to come into an ongoing exploratory problem?
Yes, for sure. Probably there will be a lot of ongoing exploratory programs. So yes, of course we can. Then we will really judge, as I said, whether our expertise will bring value in terms of selecting the project we would support.
Beyond the form that was shared, is there any other additional background on the proposal that could be helpful to share on your target audience and criteria for the award, such as a website? Happy to help to share the recording and get it out to the world. That's Ray from Faster Cures.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for the proposal. So yes, I think what can be done is sharing this presentation, but also there's an email address at the end of the presentation. So if there is a specific questions, we are happy to answer them via the email.
Great, thank you. Are there any types of pharmaceuticals that are unlikely to move forward? For example, what if something's a stem cell therapy? Do you consider that too high a risk?
No, we are considering stem cell therapy. We are also looking at gene editing space. So no, really, one of the most criteria will be, are we addressing a high unmet medical need, and what is the potential in terms of the therapeutic impact for the targeted patient population?
we have the benefit of Carolyn and her team come from a major pharmaceutical company and have had experience on that side of the aisle for all their careers, and now turning all this for the last 10 years toward this novel model of not-for-profit repurposing unmet needs that are difficult and not commercially viable in general. However, of course, at the end of the day, everything has to be commercially viable unless you're going to come to the table with a philanthropist who has $1 billion. But she has been quite creative with her team to figure out ways to both finance these as well as get pharmaceutical companies interested in moving them along. What other questions? Okay, well, thank you, Carolyn, and thanks for this opportunity. I think it is going to be really exciting to see what proposals come forward. And of course, as we have discussions with you all in terms of vetting them, there obviously is a network effect here in the sense that we might not be able to select you or take your proposal forward, but there might be other avenues for you to pursue that we may know or someone else might know. So I think it's good to get as many of these things out into the open as possible. The sunlight will help everyone, I think.
Yes. Looking forward
Sure.
hearing from you, either through the survey or directly. And thank you all for your attention and questions.
Thank you. And we will send everyone the links we put in the chat, the various emails, et cetera, that Carolyn discussed. We'll also send you the form link. And then I'm just going to share my screen briefly as long as the internet here at SFO holds. So we are partway through our therapy development webinar series. This was our third webinar. Our next one is on February 15th, and that's on community-driven innovation, which is a really wonderful novel process developed by folks at Luna with some input from Genetic Alliance that allows you to quickly and easily be able to describe your community's priorities and in fact also roll right into a patient-focused drug development process that we're in the process of getting codified with the FDA. And then that's February 15th, and then March 1st, registries and studies overall with our partner Luna. And I'll put the in the chat the URL for registration for the webinar series, and you can jump from that link over to the registration. Okay, anything else from anybody else? All right, thank you all. Good to see you. Have a good day or evening, depending on where you are. And once again, thank you, Carolyn.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you very much.